My name is Alister Mason, and I'm here to discuss my Edge project, which is titled Exploring Mexico Study Abroad. I want to start by just discussing briefly what my project was. So, over this previous spring break, I decided to travel down to San Jose del Cabo, Mexico, in order to gain some cultural experience and really just see how cultures differ from country to country. Given that this was my first international travel, it was pretty important to me that I really soaked in everything I could and took my time really exploring. So, because of this, not only did I go to San Jose del Cabo, I also went to Cabo San Lucas and also the surrounding pueblos and really had a good time just getting lost and talking with the locals and trying just to get a full experience out of it instead of something that most tourists get. Starting in San Jose del Cabo, I found when I first landed that it was very different from my expectations. I'm not sure why, but I expected it to be a little more kind of built up, modernized. But when I landed, you pretty much land in a desert, and from there you take a shuttle, wherever, to go get your rental car or shuttle to your various hotel. For us, it was taking a shuttle car down to the rental place where we got our rental car, and I went through the hassle of learning briefly how to drive a manual transmission car. Shortly, I found that San Jose del Cabo is a very it's rural, but it has modernization to it. You see a lot of just small bodegas, small little markets and restaurants where a lot of it's based on the fish from the ocean that's nearby. Where you have a lot of pescadores and all these other amazing small little huts of restaurants that you wouldn't see back home in the U.S. Moving on to Cabo San Lucas, it's funny how this place is just down the road. You go down the interstate about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you're in a totally different zone. Cabo San Lucas is very more modernized and I'd say touristy. Given that I was there during spring break, there was a bunch of loud, rowdy spring breakers and lots of touristy traps. You had a bunch of those street vendors taking advantage of people, charging huge prices. You had the restaurants charging a lot of money for something that wouldn't really be that expensive. I also found that although you use pesos or you can use US dollars to pay for things, the prices were based on the US dollar and not the peso. However, they would then convert it into the peso based on the market fluctuations. So it may seem like you're paying in peso and the value of what you're doing is based on the peso, but really, because most of their business is from US tourism, they base their prices on the restaurants, the services, any merchandise you get is based on US dollars instead of the pesos, which I found pretty interesting. For me, going to the pueblos is probably the most interesting part. You're advised by many of the locals that, or at least I was, when you befriend them, not to go into the pueblos, especially at night. It's a place that's not very friendly to foreigners or tourisms. It's very, I'd say, authentic, but it's also can be pretty dangerous. You see it out there. There's a lot of dirt roads, rundown buildings. It's very rural. It's very different from the developed Cabo San Lucas from tourism or San Jose del Cabo and all these other things. But what I did find there driving around exploring was that it was a very cool place. You got to experience something that at least I am not familiar with at all. It's this idea that dirt roads are the norm. There's livestock. There'd be cattle on the road. There's a lot of things that were new and exciting to me. And I also, because I planned most of my trip around my food because I love food, I found a lot of really cool, interesting restaurants where I would get lost and then I asked for advice and I got directed to a taqueria. And then at the taqueria, I got a cow eye taco or ojo. And there's just all these various different foods that I got to try and all these things and have fun, relax, and joke around with the locals at these restaurants and really enjoy my time. As I touched upon previously when talking about Cabo San Lucas, tourism in both San Jose del Cabo and Cabo San Lucas is pretty big. It's the main reason why their economy is growing and why they're expanding out so rapidly. Mm, the the locals do know to take advantage of the tourists because they don't know any better. They come into a foreign country, they expecting people to be just as honest in the U.S. as they are down in Mexico, which oftentimes isn't the case. for instance, whenever you're filling up at the gas station in Mexico, it's not self-service, they take care of it for you. However, I was instructed by locals not to ask them to fill up our tank like you normally would in the US, but instruct them to fill up to a certain amount of pesos. That way, there's no way for them to cheat you out, because if you say fill it up, well, what's filling it up for you is can be different for them, and then they'll take your money. It's very it's a very different place, and took a little getting used to, and I was actually a little scared of it because they know more than you do in their own country, and so it was important that I understood that and was very cautious. Another big theme that I noticed was the quote Americanization down there. When driving on the interstate, just trying to explore and kind of get myself familiarized the first day I was there, I found that there was a Costco, a Walmart, Home Depot, all these big American names that I did not expect to be down in Cabo San Lucas or San Jose del Cabo. There was McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken. It was weird for me to think that there would be these big American names down there and not the locals. Of course, you still had local shops, local restaurants, but then you also got into the fancier areas where people park their yachts, and you saw a huge shopping mall. And in that shopping mall were big name brands, deluxe movie theaters with American movies in it. I don't know if that's normal most people expect, but for me going there, I did not expect to see this, and it was disheartening because I really wanted to stay authentic. Hence why I went to the pueblos and kind of avoid this Americanization or a familiar culture that I've already seen and lived with before. Just summing it up, I enjoyed my time down in Mexico, San Jose del Cabo and Cabo San Lucas, the pueblos. All of it was fun. Getting lost, talking to the locals, conversing in Spanish. I enjoyed every bit of it, and if I had to do it again, I would do it in a heartbeat. I miss being down in Mexico already, even though my time there was short, and I really am thankful for this program to give me the chance to go down there and really experience my first international travels and open me up to this for the first time. So thank you.